get ready to meet your accountability partner. I'm so proud to introduce the head coach himself, Mr. Tom Ferry.
Hey, Bobby. Thank you. Thank you so much. And hey, everybody out there. Hope you're having a great Wednesday. And I love that. Somebody just said some nice words. I appreciate that. Thank you, David. Hey, Bobby, I know you got a bunch of questions you want to ask. First of all, I just want to say thank you for the opportunity. Any chance I get to help people move forward, be powerful, especially in this environment, right? We've got, about 20 million impressions on social in the last couple of weeks. We've had, tens of thousands of people we've interacted with, one-on-one and in these small groups. So it's an honor, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no, hey, it's an honor to have you here. And we thank you so much for being part of this and for, joining us. And this is really helpful for us. I mean, especially during this time and everything that's going on right now. We know that you're a very busy person, and again, we just appreciate you coming on here. I had a couple of questions. I will try not to have it drag out too long, but again, thanks for coming, Tom. And I'm
Sure.
a big fan of yours, big fan of everything that you do. As a matter of fact, I just signed up for your I signed up for your virtual meeting that you have coming up on the 28th, I think.
Outstanding. Thank you.
I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, and again, glad to have you here. So I had a couple of questions.
Mm-hmm.
And first, I wanted to start off by saying that I saw on a recent show that you said that you had many people out there, that were killing it during the COVID-19, and they stepped up their game during the COVID-19 much more now than they did before. I think you said pre-COVID-19, during COVID-19, and then post-COVID-19. So, which that actually shows me that it has a lot to do with psychology. How much do you believe psychology has to do with your performance, and how it relates to the current issue with the quarantine that we have right now?
So just for backstory, I've got about 34,000 hours of private coaching sessions, and I've been doing this since 1989. So having gone through the recession of 1990, 1991, having been in New York on 9/11, doing a seminar with the Rand family, having in 2006, Bobby, in December, calling every agent because I didn't have social the way we have it now, and saying, hey, listen to me, the world's about to stop. The music's going to stop. There's not going to be as many seats. You need to save your cash. You need to get rid of your second home. You need to get rid of your third lease. And then 2007, 8, 9, 10 happened. And by middle of 2007, I helped about 800 of my clients get REO accounts. So I've been very rapid on action in these kind of environments. 60 days ago, we knew something was coming because we were paying attention to what was happening in China, and then talking to my clients in Europe. So I will tell you, whether you're Dario, who is a client of mine, who his home office and his business is located in Milan, Italy, or you are Judy Johnson, who is up in I'm spacing on her, Solom, I think it is, Connecticut. By the way, she's 93 years old, Bobby.
Oh yeah, I remember seeing that.
And killing it. It's all mindset. So the thing I would say to everybody is, think about it like this. All of us know someone, or we've seen something, or we took some history classes about World War II. My father-in-law and my Uncle Frank were both in World War II. My Uncle Frank was a paratrooper, dropped in on D-Day, 100 miles behind enemy lines.
Wow.
He and I and my father-in-law and so many of my mentors, we talk about leadership, and what leaders do above everything else is they define reality. They don't make things better. They don't make it Pollyanna, and they don't make it worse, right? They keep it right here, even keel at all times. And you might say, Tom, I'm not in leadership. And I would say, yes, you are, right? Your parents, your friends, your children, your spouse, your coworkers, your buyers, your sellers, your prospect are all relying on you to be a great leader. So you've got to stay level-headed, which means another way of describing it, you got to have a little faith, right? I was listening to a longtime mentor and friend, Tony Robbins, did a podcast recently, Bobby, where he said, in these times we have to have faith. And he said, I know some of you will take that from a religious standpoint, and some of you won't. He said, think about it like this. 3,200 people die every day around the world in automobile accidents. 3,200. That's the equivalent of a 9/11 every day, 365 days a year. And yet we all have the faith to get in our car and hurl ourselves down the highway driving 65, 70 miles an hour, knowing that 3,200 people die every single day in that experience. Now, right now, my friends, we need mental toughness. We need a great mindset, which means we got to be plugging into good stuff every single day. Turn off the news. Stop it. No more news. Read more books, listen more podcasts, do more training, improve yourself, and you will be just fine in this environment. And add a little faith, and you're going to take off.
Right, right. No, that faith is so important. That optimism.
Yeah.
You don't have to be a religious person, like you said. It's a great point. Just having faith and being a little bit optimistic. I see this on a regular basis. People that are pessimistic and people that are optimistic, and you can tell their characteristics and exactly which road they're going down. And it's just,
you're right.
No matter what, that's kind of what the survival mode of a lot of people are. It's just being optimistic, and that's what kind of gets them through, And about that question, the psychology is so important. Having the optimistic psychology is it's interesting because from following you, I see I think a lot like you, and with the psychology part of it, I kind of am thinking to myself like, okay, if the people would step up their game before COVID-19, why are they stepping up their game now?
Yeah.
And it just proves that the whole psychology part of it, and so if they had their game stepped up previous to COVID-19, just imagine how much they would have stepped up the game during COVID-19 and even after.
But Bobby, you and I both know, like the real estate world, and I've done events in Portugal, I've been events in Israel, I've spoken all over the world. It doesn't matter where you go. Real estate agents and salespeople alike basically fall into one of three groups, right? They're either a no for everything. You with me? And you know this because agents that you're like, you remember years ago when someone said, hey, you might want to get on Facebook, and you knew people that are like, oh no, why would I go on Facebook? Like people would know what I'm doing. Yeah. Why would I send a tweet? Like, who cares if I'm eating a burrito? There's just always a group of people that are just a no. The problem is in this environment, what they basically chosen to do by being a no is they took an unpaid 45 to 60 day vacation that also cost them another 60 days of income because of the lack of activity. Right. Think about that. They took an unpaid. I've actually said, I think about 800,000 agents in the US have mentally furloughed themselves, except they're not getting a check from anybody. They've just stopped. Right. So a third or a no. A third, like what they do is they write it down and they're like, I'm going to do that. Like, okay, talkers. I'm going to start on Monday. I'm going to start when I get it all organized, when I finally learn how, once I've mastered it. And I just remind all of them of this statement, that done is always better than waiting for perfect.
That's so
what
true.
We're seeing now is like agents are literally stepping up and saying, that's a good idea. I'm going to try it, which is really the third group. And I think really, Bobby, it's who you surround yourself with. A lot of people just recognize this, that look, if I just take action every single day, whether that's making a phone call, sending a text, shooting a video, one of my recommendations for you today, if we have time, I want to talk about one of the fastest ways to generate clients for free. I don't know if you guys are interested. Buyers or sellers, either way is fine.
Absolutely, right. Free is always good.
Yeah, it'll take me a minute or two to cover it all, but it's very in depth and it's super powerful and it's working. But here's the thing. If you're a no, nothing works. If you're that person that says everything's got to be perfect before I do it, you're out of business, because in this environment, you got to be moving really fast.
I can relate to that so much. Yeah.
Yeah. It's 2 to 3 times the work right now for the same pay and maybe less. And you know this, Bobby, because you're probably paying attention as I am. Have you all gone on Showing Time recently to look at what's happening with showings across the country in just about every state in the union, minus New York, right? New York is still a hotspot. Showing Time tracks every state by the number of showings year over year. And you could see like March 10th, March 11th of this year, Bobby, it went like this. We were cruising into the spring market and then showings went straight down. Well, guess what they're looking like now? Now they're all coming back, and some states are already ahead of the break-even starting point of January and now moving into
That's
positive
interesting.
digits.
Wow.
But you might hear that and say, but wait a minute. If you're a no, you're a no. If you're I have to wait until showing is perfect,
They missed the
you're never going
boat.
to do anything.
They missed the boat.
Yeah, the rest of us are saying virtual showings, sellers that are doing videos and showing the buyer the house, and you're on Zoom, right? Like the resourceful people are just getting stuff done, and that's who always wins.
Exactly. That's such a great point. I agree 100%. I think that I used to be one of those people. I had to get over that kind of fear of making a mistake. You know, I was always worried about making a mistake. And I think I was always one of those people like, oh, I'm going to do it, but I have to do this, or I'm waiting for this to happen, you know?
No, Bobby, because it's got to be perfect.
Right.
It's got to be perfect. What if I don't look good? What if I shoot a video and I say the wrong thing?
Right.
I started doing videos in 2007 with no microphone on a flip video camera. Like done is always better than perfect.
That's so true. Such a great point. Yeah, I got to write that down, because that actually kind of helped people realize that, yeah, you know, I'm kind of overthinking this, you know.
Yeah.
I'm a victim of that. You know, I'm guilty of that, actually. I'm definitely guilty of that.
Hey, Bobby, stop that.
No,
sorry, that was a little coaching.
Yeah. I have, but I still am guilty of it with other things, you know, like, you know, you get to one point and then it's hard for you to go from that point to another point. And then from there, you know, it always kind of hits you. But as you keep moving forward, just keep moving forward, you know. I always told myself, I'm not afraid to make mistakes. You know what? I kind of like, sometimes it's good to go through that awkward feeling, that embarrassing feeling, because then you're like, oh, you know, just forget it. You know, it's just another feeling. It's gonna pass. You know? But
that's right.
Yeah, that's great. I have another question here. I saw your interview with David Goggins. I think that was an amazing interview.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I actually, you know, like, you know, a lot of that, what you spoke about with him resonates with me, especially on the accountability part. You know, the raw accountability that he was talking about.
Yeah.
I personally have always been very critical of myself. So I call it being critical of myself. How should people be handling being critical of themselves or being accountable?
So let me answer that two different ways. The first thing is to recognize, Bobby, that you're going to die. Right. And I know it's very motivational, right? But think about this, like no one on their deathbed sat back and said, gosh, I'm so happy that I judged myself and was so critical of myself for all those years. You know what most people are saying? Hey man, knowing what I know now, none of that stuff mattered. Right. So I created something. I wrote a book back in 2009 called Life by Design. It was my second book. And in that book, what I talked about was we're all 6 moves away from death and dying in every action or action we don't take, right? So Bobby says to himself, God, you know, I'm making this up, Bobby, like, you know, my weight's not where I want it to be, and I don't like how I look, right? And so I have that thought. Then I say, God, but you know what? And because of that, like, I don't feel good about myself. And because of that, you know, I'm not very motivated to work. Because of that, I don't work. Because of that, I don't make any money. Because of that, I don't eat. And then I die. And literally, that's how the human mind works every single day. What you have to do, and what Goggins has done masterfully, and David's been a friend for, you know, I mean, I think I've interviewed him 4 or 5 times, so I'm not sure which interview you're referring to. What he has recognized is there's something powerful about looking yourself in the mirror every day and saying, shut the blank up and get off your blank and get after it. You're going to die. So the question is, are you going to die today, or are you going to fully live today? And it's a mindset. So in my book in 2009, what I wrote about was like, I dare you to say to yourself, I choose to operate at level 10, like Bobby, me versus me, not me versus you. You with me? Not me versus Kelsey, not me versus anybody in your company, just me versus me. I choose to operate at my very best and leave it all on the field every single day. And I don't give a blank what anybody else thinks.
I think that's the point that makes the difference. Is I don't care what other people think. That's the base of people's fears. They care
Right.
what other people think. And
Yeah.
if more people just took that approach to it, that would be such a big improvement, because, and this is why I kind of embrace awkwardness if that's what it takes. If you have to
Yeah.
go through the awkwardness, because you're not, once you go through it, once you get embarrassed every once in a while, then okay, you're not as fearful of it as you were before.
It's true. It's
Yeah.
true. And the other thing to realize is we all have a lot of open loops in our life. I was write down like a child would write or draw the ocean,
Yeah.
sort of the waves, if you will. But I'll say to people in a consulting session, like, tell me about all the open loops in your life. Tell me about all the open loops in your business. And what it looks like is like resistance behind you at all times. Like, so from a psychological standpoint, if you said to me, I know mathematically I can double the size of my company. Mathematically, I could double my income, but there's always something holding me back.
Right.
It's almost always one of these open loops. And half the time it's just acknowledging the loop that closes it. Sometimes it's actually making a phone call or completing something or giving myself permission to be okay with. And as people close those loops, performance just goes through the roof. It's like one of those little simple psychological hacks. We all have this almost like if you were running as an athlete and you put one of those parachutes behind you, like
Right.
that's how most people feel every day. Like they're running with all this unnecessary resistance. And what we need
Right.
to close the loops, call your parents and say, hey, I'm sorry. Call
Oh,
your old
right.
broker and say, sorry, I was a dumbass on that transaction.
Kind of
Right?
like the baggage.
You got it.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, that's very important. A lot of people have that. A lot of people don't even want to admit to it. Some of it is
Yeah.
even in your subconscious. You know, I was also it was also important. I just want to mention this, that I agree about when you guys were talking about the tripling down on your weaknesses as
Yeah.
opposed to your strengths, which is important as well. And like, for example, if you have the call reluctance, which I call it call reluctance. A lot of people have that call reluctance, like he was saying, to make 100 calls a day. So if you're not making,
I think he said you need to make 300 calls a day and
or
you'll get
300 calls a day, yeah, do
Right?
it until you get used to it, until
Uh-huh.
you start enjoying it.
Yeah.
And
But I think that it always goes back to the same thing. Like, you're either motivated or you're not. If you're motivated, there is no such thing as call reluctance. If you're motivated, you get your ass on the gym and you go work out hard and you ride the bike or you do whatever you have to do. But when you're not clearly defining what it is you want, why you want it, who you're doing it for, what are the consequences if you don't take the action, what are the benefits if you do, if you're not aligned with that, then the thought of calling a difficult or challenging prospect doesn't sound all that fun. But when you flip it and you've all those questions answered, then
right,
you're like, wait a minute, like I can go help that person. And I know the more I help that person, it's cause and effect. I get paid to solve problems. Like, this is my job. I can't wait to go do it every day. So
right,
I think that's more of an internal motivation issue for some people, like, because there really is no such thing as call reluctance. Call reluctance is, I don't have worthwhile goals. That's all it is. If you have worthwhile goals, you will call, you will text, you will email, you will knock on doors, you will scream, you will do videos, you will, you'll do smoke signals, you'll do whatever it takes.
right,
So it's a
right,
goal.
exactly.
It's a motivation and goal thing.
Right, absolutely. I also wanted to talk about your thoughts on pivot, which is actually it's actually perfect for dealing with what's going on. I think it's great. It's perfect word for what's happening now and what's going on and what needs to be done.
Yeah. So I'll tell you, we came up with this concept 6 weeks ago, talking with, as I mentioned, clients all over the world, that we as an organization, meaning our entire ecosystem, very similar to what I've seen in your company, we have been doing video-based everything for 3.5 years. We were the first and only video-first coaching program where coaches and clients only talked via Zoom. Every call is recorded. We were sharing documents back and forth. We were signing agreements back and forth. We were working on skills back and forth, all in this virtual environment. I know you've done a lot of the same.
Right.
So we've been, I was an advocate of the internet when I launched my first website in 1995. So I'm an early adapter, clearly, as you are. So what we said was to all of our clients, like we did a webinar. I want to say it was like March 19th, 20th, something like that. And I said to them, all right, everybody, here's the new rules. You're not going to be able to show houses. You can't do open houses. You won't be able to tour property. It's going to be hard to get inspections in. Oh, by the way, you're probably in a state that doesn't have virtual notary. I just laid out like all of these scenarios and then said, so now let's talk about how you solve it. You do this instead, this instead, this instead, this instead, this instead. And overnight we activated, 7,000 plus agents to say, I can do this, right? I've already used Zoom. When I do a listing presentation, I take my same presentation, I upload it into Zoom, I hit share, and boom, I now got the screen up in front of all my clients. So, I think probably like your organization, I was reading some of the comments, you guys were already doing this. It was just a natural transition, right?
Much easier. Yeah.
Yeah. So we created Pivot, not necessarily for our clients, but for a lot of new clients that we knew needed the help. And then what a lot of people really needed was, what's going to be, we call it BC, DC, AC. Like, what was I doing before COVID that worked in terms of marketing and lead generation?
Right.
And then what's the adjustment I have to make in DC during COVID to have the same marketing and lead generation have the appropriate tone, have the appropriate empathy, have the appropriate approach to make sure that we weren't coming across as sales, monsters, but instead like truly where our heart is, which is we believe in home ownership. And we know that every consumer has two questions all the time. How's the market and how do I time this? And if I'm not appropriately messaging to get to a one-on-one conversation or a Zoom meeting to answer the question, how's the market and how do I time this, then I'm not doing my job. So, I was on the phone with one of my clients recently. I know I'm blabbing a bunch. I get excited about this conversation.
No, this is awesome stuff because this is so appropriate for exactly what's happening here.
Right. So Pivot was more about telling a lot of people that you have permission to do business in this market. And then every Monday doing a training on here's how you can market effectively. And one of the things I want to share with you guys today, so I got to be mindful of time, is one of the hottest ideas. So can I just transition and just share this real fast?
Absolutely.
So I see people making comments, but I want to ask you all a question. How many of you would like, now let me restate this. If you're a no, you're not even watching this. So those people aren't there. But if you're the kind of person that has to make it perfect, you should just check out for a second, because there's so much room for the potential of imperfection in this that you'll just be stopped. But all of us that are just go-getters that are like, I know what to do. I'm going to pull the flag up and I'm going to see what happens. Like if you're one of those people like me, like Bobby is what I'm really getting, then you're going to be all over this. So here's the backstory. Ready? In 2017, I started teaching at our annual summit that agents, because they're really good presenters and they really care about their clients, they need to be better educators. So I said, the focus should be on that. Be an educator, not a salesperson. Be the person that brings people information that's valuable to them. And then I said, now you got a number of different ways you can do it. You can do it Facebook Live. You can do it on YouTube. You can do it with your own show, all these different approaches. And I've been an advocate of that since 2007, right? So this is not a new conversation. Just in this relevant world, I said to him the following: you should be doing seminars for first-time buyers. You should be selling seminars for seniors that are thinking about selling. Sell your big house, move to a smaller house. You should be doing seminars for veterans in your marketplace that are thinking about buying or selling. And I gave him, Bobby, like 15 examples, and then gave them sample things that you would say in each of those seminars. And all of a sudden, I've got clients, former #1 agent in the world, Christina Martinez, who started out doing this she was helping people buy their first investment property. And that's what her seminar was about. Well, we did this so effectively for 5 years that the last event that I went to, there was 1,400 people at the Fairmont in San Jose at an event with her on a Thursday evening to learn how to buy, sell, invest, etc. in real estate. And they booked from that 200 appointments in the back of the room. I mean, it was insane. So here's what I'm telling people now. Why aren't you doing virtual first-time buyer seminars in your market on Zoom, right? Why aren't you doing virtual seller seminars? So I started talking about this a month ago. We just did a training a few days ago in Pivot. Zachary Faust from Delaware. He said, yeah, I was on that training. I've done 5 already. He had 320 people register via Zoom, which I'm going to explain in a minute. And Bobby, listen to a 1-hour presentation on how to buy a house in Delaware. Then from another topic where we were discussing it again, one of our coaches, Jason Pantana, mentioned that Zachary had done too. Then Heather Klumpmaker from Holland, Michigan, where you cannot do anything. Like they're in complete shutdown.
Right.
She immediately says, hey, I'm going to do that. So like literally she hears the idea at 11 o'clock in the morning. That was on a Monday, and did her first time buyer seminar at 5:30 that evening. Now that's a person, that's a go-getter. Now she said, look, I only had 15 people on there. I only opened one, I sold one house from it. She said, but yeah, I didn't listen to that part about registration. But then because of that, my client, Dave Robles, total extreme luxury broker in West LA, like that's super high end.
Yeah.
He does the same exact marketing plan I'm going to give you. He gets 78 sellers in his market to register for how to sell your home during COVID for top dollar. That was the name of the seminar. How to sell your home during COVID for top dollar. 78 registered. Only 36 people showed up. Suffer.
For that market though.
2 listing leads, 1 $3 million listing already.
All virtual.
And that was Bobby last Friday night. Was that 5 days ago, 6 days ago?
Nice.
So
that's the great thing about this, the virtual world and Zoom and everything, that you get so much of a better turnout, I think, because people are more likely to come to this than
people are home.
They're home. They're comfortable.
People are home. Okay, so I'm going to give you the list really fast, being mindful of time. Here's your actions. You ready?
Yeah.
Decide if you want to do a first-time buyer or a first-time seller, or a first-time buyer, seller, but you don't do them together. You do one or the other. It could take you 30 to 45 minutes, right? It's super easy. If you were to Google right now, 5 mistakes to avoid in buying your first house, you'll see myself and a plethora of other people that put up the content for, here are the 5 obvious mistakes. What you're going to add now is your safety guidelines. So you're going to say 5 biggest mistakes to avoid in buying your first house, and the 3 safety guidelines we follow to make sure it's safe for you, for me, and for the sellers, right? And you literally turn that into a PowerPoint, which all of you know how to do. And then here's the kicker. You ready? You go to keepingcurrentmatters.com and you pull up some of the KCM data on home prices, what's expected this year, what happened in the last 5 recessions, all the KCM data that lets people know this isn't 2008, 9, 10 again. But here's the hook. You ready? Once you decide to do this, I'm going to ask you to set it up in Zoom, where we are now. Bobby, did you know that in Zoom, when you're setting up this webinar, you can actually click a button called registration, which means that when everyone goes to the link, they have to fill in, my name is Tom Ferry, and here's my email.
Right, they have to register. Right.
So
it's like
what is that?
Built-in CRM kind of.
Right, like you're instantly collecting all of the names and the emails and the cell phones of the people that are watching the show.
Yeah.
So very important that you set it up the right way. Then you're going to email your database and invite them. In that same email, you're going to recommend that they share this with people they know that are thinking about buying their first house. So you're going to get a certain response from your email list. You're going to invite all the leads you're working with, right? All your old leads, every lead that's ever ghosted you. Hey, come join me on a Zoom session. I'm going to have, tens of people on there watching and learning about how to buy a house in this market safely and the 5 mistakes to avoid. And then what I'd recommend you also do is you do a video, preferably live, because it's going to get a better response, basically prepping people. Like when you see movie stars that say, they're out promoting their movie, you're doing the same thing. You're like, hey, on Friday at 5 o'clock, hey guys, it's Tom with London Foster. This Friday at 5 o'clock, I'm going to be doing a first-time buyer seminar. So if you've had any thoughts of buying your home, if you're sitting right now with a FICO score at 580 and asking yourself, can I buy a home? If you're saying to yourself, I've heard there's no interest or that there's no homes for sale, I'm going to cover that. If you're asking yourself, is it 2008, 9, 10 all over again? You definitely should join me. You're just hooking them one after another. Like if you're asking yourself these questions,
those are the hooks.
Right? Click the link below and I'll invite you and you can come sit in. It's not a sales pitch. I'm just trying to educate buyers today on safety and the 5 mistakes to avoid in buying a home today. You do that, and then you boost it to the 15-mile radius, and you know what you're going to end up with? 70, 80, 100, 30, 13, 29. And people say to me, well, what if I only have 10? My response is, hello, if you have 10 captive people.
10 more than you had before.
Thank you. And it costs you zero,
Right.
zero. Then here's the key. This is where a lot of people make the mistake, Bobby, during the event. So you're sharing your screen. You're like, and mistake number 3. And by the way, mistake number 3 is, make sure that you're writing the right kind of offer and the terms and, whatever it is, blah, blah, blah. By the way, I know a lot of people will have questions about this. At the end, I'll make a private opportunity for you and I to meet one-on-one conveniently with your schedule. So all of you will have an opportunity to meet with me privately one-on-one to ask more questions. So let's go to number 4, number 5. And at the end, you have to have some kind of CTA, call to action, that says, thank you so much. And, thanks to my lender, if you had your lender participate, thank you so much. And all of you are going to get an email from me with a Calendly link, Calendly.com, where you can go on there and click the link and you could book an appointment. I do all my first-time buyer meetings between 12 o'clock and 3 o'clock, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Just let me know what time works for you. And you know what happens? People suddenly got appointments and they're meeting with buyers, and it costs you absolutely nothing. But again, if you're a no, you would never do it. If you think it's going to have to be perfect and you got to figure it all out, by the time you figure it out, we'll be in AC. We'll be in, the next evolution of what we call after COVID, and you'll miss the mark. But some of you are like, well, it's 1:30 in the West where Tom is. I could probably get this done and do it tomorrow.
Right.
That, right. Kill it.
Right. That's the exact mindset. Exactly. Just like that. And what you just said right now is pretty much in a nutshell, gave kind of like a similar funnel, like I was just talking about in the previous training that I did, pretty much setting it up. Because now with Zoom and all the technology, and actually as broadband gets faster, it's going to get even better, and you're going to have more tools, with 5G and everything like that. I actually just bought a pair of those disposable goggles because I'm trying to see how that fits into the 3D renderings and things like that.
Yes.
You can
provide
more value.
Yeah, the emergence of technology. Here's a question I'd ask all of you, and then Bobby, unfortunately, I got to bounce to my next session.
No, absolutely.
The question I'd ask all of you is this: what was working in my business before COVID? What was working in my business before COVID? And then I would ask, what have I done that's been effective during COVID, both existing things and new things? Like, what did I do that I just had to make an adjustment, a little pivot to make it more effective in this new environment? And then what new things have I added? But then the $64,000 question coming out of this, my friends, is what do I expect my business to look like after COVID? Right. I'm seeing agents that are literally saying to me, I'm never going to a closing again as long as I'm alive. I'm seeing, in some certain parts of the country, they have to actually physically show up to the closing. I'm seeing agents in New York City, so in Manhattan, where a lot of my clients are, Bobby, ready to close a deal. In one location, you have to have agent, buyer, seller, attorney, managing broker, 7 people in one room to close the transaction. And now people in New York City are like, it's like Fiddler on the Roof, right? We've always done it like this. It's tradition, right? Like, why do you wear the sash and play the violin on the roof? I don't know. It's just tradition. It's like, why do you do these stupid closings in this room with 7 people and one person doesn't show up and you can't close it? I don't know. It's tradition, right?
Yeah.
Gone now. Everybody's just saying, hey, after COVID, the new norm is virtual listing appointments every time.
Right. And then those who are already on it, those are the ones that have started it or got into it and pivoted 2 months ago or a month and a half ago, or even now.
100%.
That are actually going to be ahead of the game, ahead of the curve.
Yep.
And not get filtered out like back in 2008, we've all seen it, Yeah.
It's Darwinism, brother. Adapt or die. Right?
Yeah, that flush.
Hey, before I go, I'll tell you, if you guys want more information on Pivot, just go to www.illum.coach/pivot. If you go there, it's illum.coach/pivot.
Illum, that's
coach
ILLUM. Coach.
.coach/pivot. There, what you're going to get access to, guys, is, a couple days of free content. We've already done about 38 trainings inside there. So my advice is take the couple days for free, consume all the training you get your hands on: marketing, negotiations, scripts and
Right.
skills, handling objections, advanced stuff to basics, and everything in between. Just gobble it up, because right now we got to get better if you want to serve more clients. But
Right,
Bob,
that's exactly what I just said.
yeah, you're all about it.
We got to take a step back. Yeah, and we'll definitely do that. It's illum.coach/pivot. And yeah, I look forward to going there and getting that content and all that information. I really appreciate you being here on the on this event, and thanks for the good information, all this content. I would look forward to getting involved in that.
Yep.
And we'll see you again soon, Tom. Thanks a lot. I really appreciate it.
Appreciate you, brother. Take care.
Take care, man. But I wanted to thank everyone for coming. I appreciate it. We only had a little bit of time with Tom. I hope that helped. I hope that brought some value to you. A lot of the things that he said was very related to the training. I don't know if you've realized, I don't know if you noticed that, but a lot of the things that he said was related to the training. What he had talked about at the end was very important. I'll tell you, a lot of these things, wherever you're going, whatever you're doing, like if you're going to seminars, or if you're doing seminars online, you don't need to go and take, if you're spending $500 or whatever, if you're spending nothing or whatever like that, if you're spending $100, it's not, okay, I want to get 50 ideas that I'm going to implement. No, if all you need is just that one idea or that one thing that will make a difference, that's worth 10 times what you pay for it. So I've been to tons of different seminars, and I get a lot of validations of ideas and thoughts and processes that I'm like, okay, that are the takeaways that I get from it. So sometimes I'll go to a training that'll be a week long in another location, and I'll get one idea that I will implement, and it will definitely change my financial situation, which is what I got from here, which is one of the things that I actually wrote down, which is really important. It's actually related. I saw a lot of similarities. One is that the videos that he's doing, which was what we talked about, putting yourself out there, and he had given a little bit of strategies where you open it up in Zoom, then you recommend that they share it with people that they know, and then you do a live video, you prep for it, you start advertising for it, which is already a lot of the things that we're doing right now. So I hope you got a lot of content from that. Big ups to Tom Ferry for coming out here and doing this for us. And actually, I just wanted to, for the people who are not familiar with our company, we're London Foster, the full service, 100% brokerage out there. As you can see from the notes, you can see a lot of people were keying in some ideas, some thoughts, some comments, but we're the only full service, 100% brokerage out there that we have multiple locations throughout South Florida. Everything that we went on here, everything that I spoke about today here, we help you with. We have a full-time marketing director. We help you with all of that for free. We have no monthly fee. We have a transaction fee, which is pretty much what you pay for. It doesn't matter if you are selling a $50,000 home or selling a $50 million home, it's the same price. So you don't have to worry about any tricks or anything like that. Memo is also one of our recruiting managers and head of the education. We're going to go ahead and put his information. Memo, if you don't mind, if you could put your information in the chat. Memo, I just mentioned, we give a training on a regular basis every single day, Monday, Tuesday. Wednesday's our main training, but we give London Foster 101 every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, and Saturday, I believe. And this is where you can come and do a Zoom call, and we'll teach you all about everything that we have to offer, everything that London Foster is about, our history, our staff, everything that you get when you come to our company and join the family. So thanks to everyone that signed up for this event. It was a special event. Thanks again to Tom Ferry. I urge you guys to go out there and go research him. Look and see some of his YouTube videos. Look and see some of the things that he has out there, some of the content that he gives you. A lot of it's for free. Don't worry about signing up for some of the things that he has. It's all valuable things that you are investing in your business, and you're investing in yourself, which is important. Don't, you got to see the value in it. You got to apply the value in it, which is really important. Marketing is everything. We're very big on marketing. And we continue to do these trainings on a regular basis. So thanks again, everyone, for coming out. I'm going to go ahead and head out. I'm going to leave the chat open. So I'll see you guys soon. If you guys need me, my contact information is there. Thanks, Damien. London Foster is #1. My contact information will be there if you guys need me. And again, thanks for taking the time to be here and invest in yourself. And you're part of the family, so it's good to for us all to come together like a family every once in a while. So thanks again, guys. I'll see you later. Take care.